You saw the title of the video. Would you consider yourself as someone who speaks really well? Or would you say that you do speak really well? Most people aren't necessarily happy with the way that they communicate or speak on camera or in real life because of the fact that if you don't like the way that you communicate overall, a new camera isn't going to change that. And that's the real problem, not your gear. So before you drop like thousands of dollars or even hundreds of dollars for a camera in 2026, here's what you should actually be working on so that way you can save your money, okay? So the first thing that we got to understand before I get into this video is that gear isn't your real bottleneck. And for those who don't know what a bottleneck is essentially where the issue in your business, in your pipeline, as far as your workflow is considered. Cameras and phones are already insanely good, all right? The real gap that anybody has taken into consideration or hasn't taken into consideration is skills, not necessarily specs, okay? So a lot of people will be like, oh, you know, but if I have this camera, if I have this lens, it's gonna make my videos stand out and I'm always gonna be great about everything that I do with my content, blah, blah, blah. That's not necessarily true. Have you ever heard analysis by paralysis? A lot of people will take into consideration like, hey, maybe I do want to get a better camera and it'll make my content better overall. And then they go down this like deep rabbit hole talking about like, oh, maybe I should get this camera and maybe I should get this camera and maybe I should get this camera. And then all of a sudden your Amazon cart looks like $2,000, $3,000 that you have to pay in an instant so that way you can actually get really great videos. Then you pay the money, you literally pay that amount, and then all of a sudden your videos and your views don't necessarily go up. You're not making as many videos as you wanted to, and it kind of defeats the purpose. So it usually ends in roughly endless research and no content whatsoever. So there are a few things that I would rather every person, especially business owners, take into consideration before even buying an additional piece of gear. The first focus is communication, okay? I've said this in multiple videos, but I'm gonna continue saying this until people get it, okay? Your mouth, your way of speaking, your way to clearly explain an idea is way better than your camera. I'm gonna say that again. Your ability to clearly explain an idea is way better than a flippin' camera. No camera saves you. And there's something about somebody that genuinely believes in what they actually want to address on camera that makes us want to stay in the video, if that makes sense. A lot of people, they'll just use the gear as a crutch in order to make a justifiable reason to pay for an additional piece of gear that they're only going to be using once or twice. So my thing is that if you can clearly explain an idea, especially within your niche, whether it be about fitness, whether it be about love, whether it be about friendships, whether it be about money, it doesn't matter. If you're able to clearly explain what you're trying to get across on camera, no matter what type of camera it is, then you're winning. But people don't have the tools in order to develop their communication skills. So I've basically made one for you guys. It's called the BCP framework. That's Boy Charlie Project, okay? So the first thing is B, which is belief, right? I want you to start to stick to topics that you genuinely believe in. And I'm talking about like the things that you genuinely believe in. I don't care if you have a politics channel, a religion channel, a money channel, an education channel, a government channel. I don't care what you have. As long as you believe in those specific thoughts that you're willing to suffer for, like die on the cross, as people say, but I hate using that reference. But the point still stands. It's like, where do you draw your lines in the sand based on your opinions of the things that you believe in? And stick to those specific topics. Like for me, it's making sure that I get more business owners, more people who are interested in content to get on camera, to start making videos, to change their lives for the rest of their lives. At least that's my belief, right? C, which is the second thing, is clarity, right? It's basically 1 point per video, right? It's like one thing that you're basically going to harbor on specifically in every single video that you make from now on, if that makes sense. Don't go off onto tangents. Don't speak about your mom or your sister or your cousin or one thing that your friend told you one time. Like, we don't want to worry about that. We want to speak about one specific point that you genuinely believe in, right? So belief and clarity. We'll believe in something that we genuinely believe in, and we're only going to talk about one concept within that general belief, okay? And then the last one is P out of BCP. It's practice, right? So I want you to talk to the camera 2 to 5 minutes daily, mainly to develop the courage, I guess, or get rid of the fear of what it means to be on camera. Like, I made a video earlier this year called People Treat Cameras Like Guns. And I literally talk about this one concept a lot because it's very true. You just have to understand that nobody cares. And this is like the same thing with like sports or with music or generally with any skill that actually matters to you in your life. Is like, if you consistently practice it every single day, you're going to get better. And especially, it affects your ability to communicate with everybody, share your ideas on a consistent basis, and in tandem actually helps you in public speaking, webinars, Zoom meetings, etc., where you have to talk on your own behalf in order to share people the ideas that you have developed over time with whatever it is that you do. So my thing is, I want you to think about, in conjunction, things that you believe in. Literally write them down, like in your notes app or wherever you feel comfortable, maybe your journal. I don't know where you keep all these ideas at. Make sure that every single video has one specific topic that you're talking about on a consistent basis, and practice all those ideas, basically talking to the camera 2 to 5 minutes every single day, and you don't even have to post them. Just make sure that you have the daily practice of literally getting on camera. By the way, if you're getting value out of this video so far, please like and subscribe the video because and the channel, subscribe to the channel, because I put videos out like this helping you with content, branding, and social media marketing literally every day, and I think they're super helpful, and I want to help a lot of people. But anyway, getting back into the video, the first thing is communication. The second is storytelling. So stories essentially make people want to watch your videos more so than anything else. I feel like a lot of people, besides communication, your ability to give out the conviction that you have about specific ideas, storytelling is another concept or another pillar in which that you can actually improve on, so that way you can keep people on your videos. For example, vlogging has been a quintessential version of content since like the early days of YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, it doesn't matter. People have been vlogging for the longest, and people still vlog. Why? Because image quality just makes things prettier, but a good story will keep us longer, if that makes sense. So one little structure that I would suggest in general, just to improve on your storytelling overall, would be using I was, this happened, or here's what I learned. Again, I was, this happened, here's what I learned, right? So it's essentially turning your real experiences into frameworks, so that way you can turn them into stories, which then turn into lessons, if that make any sense. Like, I'll use an example. Like, I genuinely did this, and this is what I learned from that. And from that structure, I'm going to give you a framework that you can use literally all the time. I have a framework for all of these points. I have 3 of them specifically in this video, and the last one's pretty crazy in my personal opinion. But for this one, it's called hook, frame, tell, okay? So this is essentially adapted from Alex Hormozi and from Russell Brunson, which they have hook, story, offer, and then hook, story, hook, retain, reward, right? But for me, it's hook, frame, tell, because you always need context. Let me explain. So like, first of all, a hook, you probably heard hook for the longest time, especially if you're trying to get into content, especially if you're on this channel. Which is essentially a phrase, a question, or a statement that ignites an emotion, right? Like, I ate 20,000 hamburgers in one day. Here's what happened. You know what I'm saying? Now, once you have a hook, a genuine hook that genuinely works for you and for your audience, that's when you develop the frame, just like a painting, right? You have to have a frame in order to give out the story. So how are you going to do that if nobody knows what the context is? Unless you're trying to do one of those like things where you're just dropped in the middle of a story, then that's a completely different thing. But for consistency and to have something that we can use every single time, let's use frame. So frame is context. And there's 5 different contexts that you can, there are 5 different contexts, if that makes sense, that you could use in every single video, being far past, recent, present, trend, and a series, or otherwise known as an experiment. So the first one is far past. So anything from like 2 years behind, like literally something that you could be thinking about from like 10 years that happened in your life, or 5 years in the past, or like 3 years in the past. Then recent is essentially anything up to 2 years in the past. Say like maybe you graduated from school, or maybe you had a girlfriend and that was relevant to the story that you're telling, or maybe you met your wife for the first time, like things like this. And the present is stuff that's happening right now. Like you're developing a business, you're starting this content strategy, you're developing more videos or a content calendar, blah, blah, blah. The next is trend, which is essentially anything that you see online that a lot of people are doing on a consistent basis, and then you put your little spin on it. So if there's a trend to do some dances, do a trend talking about the things that you love with some dances, you know, very simple. Or if you're a musician and you happen to see this trend going on, maybe play some music with the trend, you know what I'm saying? Or the music that comes with the trend, right? And then the last thing is series or experiment, and these are essentially manufactured versions of stuff that's happening in the world. Mr. Beast is like the king at this, because he'll literally be like, I use the example of, we put 10 million Orbeez inside of a pool. If you know what Orbeez are, they're like little water balls or whatever. Literally put them in a pool, and then you're literally there just to see what happened, you know what I'm saying? And then that's basically what I use. An example of this is buying a camera in 2026 is a waste of time. Do this instead. Like, that's literally a title that people will watch, people will literally get intrigued by, because they're like, what? I actually wanted to buy a camera. But no, I'm going to tell you why, specifically in the present, why I'm telling you this, you should be doing that. If that makes sense, hook, frame, tell, okay? And the last thing that we should be focusing on is our filmmaking fundamentals, okay? I don't talk about like literally cinematography, I don't talk about your rule of thirds, I don't talk about any of that stuff. I will eventually, especially once I get into the filmmaking world, but as far as right now, filmmaking does not equal expensive gear. It's what you do with the gear that you have currently, right? So the basics still apply to whatever it is that you film on a phone, right? Like, for example, you could face a window and get better lighting, right? You can get clean framing by just getting a simple shot, just like this one, with some like little bokeh. If you don't know that word, bokeh is literally the blurriness in the background, as you can see, based off of the aperture being f1.1, f1.8, excuse me. And the last one being like decent audio. It's like being in a quiet room, to be quite honest with you, like making sure that the mic is closer to your face, just like the mic is currently close to my face, right on top of my camera. It's like these 3 things will take you much farther in comparison to just having a new camera body. Plus, you can't even do anything with a new camera body. You have to buy a lens anyway. So it's like, you might as well just figure this out with your phone, so that way when you do have the gear that you can apply all these filmmaking tools, and you can just basically do it and figure out those things and literally be a much better filmmaker with the gear that you have right now than just waiting for a $2,000 camera to come through the door, so that way you can actually get better at filmmaking, if that makes sense. Plus, it not only makes stuff look pretty, it also makes sure that you're on camera, that you're showing up on camera the best way that you can. So having those 3 focuses overall will make you a better content creator, and on top of that, you won't have to use cameras as a crutch in order to make really great content. Because to be honest with you, your phone is really already enough. Like, modern phones literally have a better camera setup than OG YouTubers had towards the beginning. Like, you look at Casey Neistat videos with his Canon like PowerShot or whatever he used to shoot on, vlogging consistently, like, it's a way better camera in comparison than what he was using. It's like, the frame of mind that you have to be under is that you're not under-equipped, you're just under-practiced and under-skilled, right? So once you develop the practice, you're going to develop the skills, so then therefore you're going to be very equipped. You're going to be over-equipped at that point. So my challenge to you, the person watching this video, is make 30 to 50 videos on your phone before even thinking about getting a new camera. If you can do that, then you're definitely on your way to get better equipment to make your videos better and overall. So once you do that, here's when a camera or buying a camera actually makes some sense, right? You should only be upgrading based upon your daily habits that are already being taken into place, meaning that you're already posting consistently, You know exactly what your current setup can't do, meaning with like lighting, client needs, if you're doing the SMMA sort of situation, or if you're trying to do a specific thing on camera that it can't do because of the limitations that your phone or a current camera that you have does not have. You want to treat your camera like money, right? Money amplifies who you are, and your camera amplifies your message. But if your message is crap, then there's no way that anybody's gonna watch your video. So you might as well just work on your messaging, the way you communicate, the way you tell stories overall, the way that you focus on the daily practice, so that way when your camera comes into your life, then you can actually do some really cool-ish with it. Anyway, in 2026, buying a camera is absolutely useless unless you understand all of these things, and it's okay if you don't. Just forget the camera store for now and just focus on the skills to get better in 2026, especially with your content creating, personal branding, and social media marketing. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel because I put videos out like this every single day and you don't want to miss them. On top of that, if you need any more personal help, just literally click the first link in the description and book a call with me and we can figure out how to develop your personal brand from 0 to 100 in a super short time. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.